and welcome back to my channel. This is a continuation based on the part 1 of the Internalized Ableism. If you haven't seen this, I suggest that if you want to stop this video right now, feel free to click it in the icon above me and in the description box below me so that you can gain a better understanding, because now this one is based on my lived experiences with internalized ableism as well as an autistic and with a host of mental health conditions. So as a disclaimer, as always, I'm no medical doctor, I'm just your normal Joe blog. So if you see anything out of the ordinary, seek professional help for yourself or your loved one, or seek second opinion for yourself or your loved one, because I don't condone self-harm. As a student, I want to share with you all basically with my lived experiences with internalized ableism that I struggle with sometimes on a daily, and how it's not even easy. I'll update that out. It never is, and as well as life isn't easy for any of us, right? But it's what we do in our lives that counts, and we do with our pages and chapters in our lives to create a beautiful story to share with others, hopefully, regardless what it may be, even if we're going through some trials and tribulations that looks ugly, but then we come out on the other side as a beautiful butterfly. I will share this how I experience it directly to me, or by me, to myself. As you're watching this, as I'm sharing with you all, I want to be real and honest and discreet about it, as well as also and basically transparent, as I'm sure as hell that I had done this anyway with you, or basically either on the screen or off the screen, based on how I feel and whatnot. And as I say this, hopefully in this transparency, honesty and reality of it all, of what I'm sharing with you all today, hopefully that this may, you know, be someone you know, or be yourself, or you may know of what I am about to share with you all today, of something similar that I've been through that would help others. Let's start this discussion today, see what we can do to help ourselves together to stop discrimination on ourselves, as well as supporting others to uplift them. As a dialogue box below, feel free to open up and share your experiences and stories in the comment section below. Don't be afraid to do so, and when it does become shared, be mindful of others, as I want this place to be a safe place for people not to feel judged or feel little or less than, but they are worth more than just the diagnoses themselves, etc. So as you all know or must know, that everything that I do either is online through community group, through my blogging of my writer, social medias, as well as my YouTube channel, or even sometimes the push that I'll actively try to push myself to go outdoors and socialize with the communities and groups that are now available to me, that I have been introduced. I do my utmost best to support others and myself, right, to help myself. But sometimes and again, I tend to mold myself or mask myself to fit in and blend into the ableist world or society, and then I'll isolate myself and then become, you know, an ableist on myself, or even towards myself, as I'm usually alone. When I was growing up, yes, I was alone. However, I did have a few friends along the way, basically. Don't get me wrong, I've lost some along the way, but you know, there are reasons for this, you know, be it whatever it is. People come and go for a reason and season of a change, I believe, and sometimes we just need to allow that. And obviously, because obviously what we go through in our lives will test us, as well as testing the people around us that will want to stick with us in the long haul, I also believe. But in saying this also, basically, but the social prejudices that I did receive from certain ableist groups, or opinions, thoughts and assumptions about me, was running through my head constantly, obviously at that time, you know, knowing that I was different, basically. And then I started to ruminate through some of these thoughts, and I was thinking so deeply, basically, about it all, if they were right about me being a problem, that I'm a burden, so on and so forth, and so many other hurtful statements, to be frank, that they said to me. While this was all happening, I then began to shapeshift where I was in my surroundings, as well as with the people around me, which again, I have shared what happens towards me when I shapeshift in my surroundings while socializing, and I'll link it in the icon above me and in the description box below me, so you can gain a better understanding what this is all about as well. But to be brief though, while the shape-shifting was beginning, or about to begin, basically, I began to mimic the behaviors and attitudes and actions that I deemed fit from others, that were appropriate and acceptable by me, and others that I worked with at that given moment of time. Again, this will be added in the icon about, based on my socialization purposes, also about mimicking or what have you. I'll find it and I'll link it in the icon in the description box below me. While this is happening, however, basically in the socialization process for me, between myself and others that there will be a lot of things that are happening around me, you know, be it whatever it may be, like certain noises, smells that I may not be able to cope with, a certain maybe setting that will cause me to basically have a meltdown, shutdown, what have you. Obviously then my anxiety levels will be on the up, become anxious, and everything I say or do that may offend others will come off as rude, basically, in the mindset of others, of themselves, and then it will then become apparent to a point that they either A, will accept me or reject me by choice for whatever reason. Another playlist will be added here, again, will based on anxiety and social anxiety, to gain an understanding about me, especially as an autistic, in the icon above me and in the description box below me. This then in turn has led me to discriminate myself or be hard on myself and hating myself for a long period of time, and I thought to myself at my very first instance, though, enough is enough. Time to take back control. Now is the time to accept and love myself. I want to be better. I want to be best me. I want to better myself, accept myself, and love myself as a person, basically, not just as an autistic, but just as a normal average human being. But again, what is normal? Autistics do struggle with their self-esteem, self-worth, so on and so forth, myself included. Again, another video will be above me in the iCard in the description box below me, based on autistics and self-esteem and whatnot. So if you're wanting to find out more, feel free to do so by clicking it now or wait till the end of the video. A group from the Autism Women's Network, basically, of 2013 defined it as a practice where disabled people internalize ideas and prejudices of society that see disability as other, as something undesirable, as tragic, as something to be shunned or pitied, if not pitied. This in turn results in the disabled person that will then self-hate or loathe themselves. Or even from the blog of Disability Rights Bastard, he or she wrote, shall I say, it as their definition as a practice where disabled people internalize the ideas and prejudices of sort of that see the disability again as other, as something undesirable, tragic, and something to be shunned if not pitied. This in turn then results those in some, as well as their bodies and mind or anything about themselves, they inherently see themselves as lesser than any human being, and they dislike others in their group because they are a mirror image of that self-loathing and self-destructing themselves to believe the white lies and whispers as a form of their own truth. Ableism is a reminder, as I shared in one of my videos. If you want to know more, I'll link it in the iCard in the description box below me, but I'll define it again as the discrimination against disabled people in favour of those who are able-bodied and able-minded. Ableism is like racism and sexism occurring on an individual level. For example, when we get insulted or ignored in a conversation because of maybe how we speak, how we think, maybe in the way of how we speak is due to our stuttering, if we've got a stuttering problem, as well as the structural levels, such as, example here, your society that is set up in a way as to disadvantage us and privilege those who will speak fluently. Ableism is a complex thing, again, as I said, topic that takes so much tremendous work and many years to fight against in order to create more inclusive and welcome societies, I believe. This, again, I can't express it enough or repeat enough to you all as a reminder, is still a form and or type of discrimination towards people with different disabilities. It's an assumption from others that are able-bodied and able-minded that thinks that people are different or again has a disability of any kind has to get treated differently, unfairly, based on or by some biased opinion and thoughts from people who are able-minded and able-bodied. People are built in this world where it's not created for people with disabilities. Sad but true, yet people fear change and people fear of being different or anything that may look or feel different. There are and have always been some subtleties to discriminatory behaviours and attitudes towards others, along with the unwillingness or compromise to make life easier for those with a disability. I'm going to share with you all today, as I shared earlier in the first part of it, a few examples to illustrate that I am an ableist on myself or to myself, thinking that I am less than or not worth it to anyone, including myself. For me, being an autistic, as we know, for many autistics as well as some mental health issues, a classic one I get a lot of stares from people looking at me when I am wearing my sunnies indoors, like inside a restaurant, supermarket, library, or wherever, basically when it's not sunny and the lights are so strong and bright to the point that I might start thinking to myself while I'm filtering out certain noises and background and whatnot while I'm socializing in myself or just hanging out by myself, is that yes, people staring at me maybe because I am weird, or I question myself, am I weird? Is it because I'm not supposed to wear them indoors? What am I supposed to do when the light indoors are so bright though and so strong to the point though that it makes me dizzy, sick, giving me headaches, and so on and so forth? I rarely wear headphones around town as well. Again, the classic cis and ableist comments may creep in. I used to where if I sometimes in public and many people look at me, point the fingers and start laughing at me because of what I do, it may be what I say. Sometimes it's how or what I say that may confuse people. I believe that's what I've been told. It's not what I say, it's how I, come across to people and how I say things. Again, that's all based on wiring of my autistic brain, how I work. Sometimes also for the visual aids, along with I usually do with the to-do tasks, obviously, to help me with my everyday chores that need to be done and to keep me into routine. I find these important, as I shared in one of my videos, that I can mark them off as a form of accomplishment and or achievement into what I've done in a day. It gives me a good feeling. While some of these aids are useful to me, I then try to tell myself to push harder, and by doing so and saying this to myself, I usually do push myself as hard as I can go, where either I'm at a breaking point of exhaustion or to a point of a burnout, a meltdown, or shutdown phase. Number 2, believe in my diagnosis. I've shared what I've got, but for those who are new and has landed on my page today, basically, I have Asperger's syndrome, which is now classically known as autism, and that autistic umbrella structure of the diagnosis manual of level 5. Social anxiety, panic and anxiety attacks. After going through a lot of assessment, basically, when I was younger, I can clearly say, and now given some of these diagnoses and accepting what it is and what it has to be dealt with, or how I can deal with it on a daily with the right tools, methods and techniques that may deem work for me but not work for others, and vice versa. Some of the stuff that you do for yourself, or the tools, methods and techniques, may work for you but not for me. Again, it's a matter of retrospective, respecting one another. But again, my student ableist opinions, thoughts and assumptions about me was running through my head as always, while allowing that internal voice to take over, and that I start to ruminate again these thoughts and thoughts so deeply about it all, if they were right about me being a problem, you're a burden, etc, etc, nobody wants you, and so on and so forth. I choose to accept my diagnosis, however, despite the internal voice again will repeatedly say to me that you're weak, you're useless, unless I do accept the labels diagnosis given to me. Suck it up, buttercup princess. The question is that I ask myself, and we should all ask ourselves right now, is this: why do we allow it to happen in the first place? Again, to me that question is a good one. I can give you right now as self-reflection of society and of others around us, or even ourselves as a whole. Some of us has come to a point in our lives that we should be made and act as normal as possible. Yet, what is normal these days? Normal is overrated. To be honest, also to think of all that is how our personal self-thinking is based on our culture and upbringing, so on and so forth. But the question is also I want to ask is basically, with all this has been seen as a marginalized or even worse as America. The society disability as a problem, and not as society itself lacking in the needs, means or accommodations for people with disabilities being the problem, and we then get denied or rejected by those who need the accommodation and support services that we need most, or even again being a problem or burden to society with that disability. But the question also again we may ask ourselves, do we say these things on purpose? Are we saying them for seeking attention, as we know that this kind of thinking, attitude and behaviours are deemed acceptable if we choose to allow it to happen in the first place, and this can then lead to the self-destructing behaviours and thoughts. Do I want to accept these sort of thinking and or behaviours? We know that this can self-destruct, causing lack of self-esteem, self-worth, self-respect, and so on and so forth. Judging myself and what I can and can't do, or even just dwelling on the things that I may not be able to do. I believe right now I can do so much more as a daughter, friend, co-worker, so on and so forth. I can show what I can do based on if given a chance to shine out my abilities that I can do. I believe with this overcoming of everything I've been through in my life, that I am a conqueror through everything that I've been through, and I am a living proof of what I've been through, to share my life stories and experiences, be it through certain relationships, be it through certain situations based on my diagnoses and more. I do have my strengths and weaknesses like anyone else who doesn't, but I should be thankful for, and that I'm still alive and breathing, and by focusing on my strengths and working more on my weaknesses to be a better version of myself is all I can do. There was a time in my life I've been so anxious when I first began my journey with autism, after finding out about it basically, and to how others will treat and respond to me if I was to share in public or in the communities I am, as well as in the support groups, be it online or just when I'm socializing with people in the outdoors. I thought so when is it the right time to share it, and I thought better than ever to do it now online on my channel, as you may have seen so far, as well as on my blog, so that others like me may be able to relate to or even experience something similar, and by giving that myself that voice of reason to others, that knowing that when they're going through this, they're not alone. Thought now is the time to embrace everything about me, to love me for me. Why hide my diagnosis? Just to continue working hard and all like an energizer bunny, but bearing in mind knowing my limits and expectations on myself. Usually I am an independent young woman, as many people may know me, obviously, because I'm living alone on this outside world, flatting, doing things like normal people do, and don't usually ask for help from others, yet I have started to do this right now, basically. And then I am in some community groups here in New Zealand where I should hopefully feel safe and feel accepted by them and be able to be myself and not be someone else, because obviously while I've been masking and living in this ableist world, why should we be acting like somebody else when we should be acting like ourselves? We should be able to embrace people's differences, I believe, as well as also in saying this, we should be coming and accepting of others too. After all, I'm still human too. I function similar ways as you guys do, but in a different wiring of my brain though, however. Like someone said, that we are all different operating systems, and I believe that we are. Stimming in public or even meltdown. Feeling of shame and embarrassment on myself doing this, a normal part of life for us to do this when it's deemed appropriate and deemed to do so. Stimming is a form of release and expression we need to do to relieve any stress, tension, etc. Again, I've done some stimming in one of the playlists and it will be on the description and in the iCard above me also, so you can find out more. Again though, however, when this was happening about the stares and what have you, the stares and judgment from other people looking at me, and that sometimes when these two things occur, I try to withhold myself or try to the point of stop myself from stimming, block anything and everything around me that will cause my meltdown, to the point that will take a lot of willpower power by masking myself and trying to act as normal as possible so that I don't cause a scene in public. Yet while this is going on around me, it's like a fighting battle inside myself internally of my brain, as well as maybe just the body in itself when I do need to stim. You know, this causes negative effects as if I suppress myself for too long when all I want to do is find something that will be my escape or relief or relief. Then during some of these situations that may arise, be it my meltdowns or shutdowns or something, a little inside voice will start whispering to me, resonating with me, torturing me as they are well known as negative thought. This little voice inside of me that I am fighting will be saying things to me like, you're creating a scene, stop being a drama queen, don't stim in public, stop being a crybaby, harden up, and so on and so forth, as a common statement as I shared earlier. This inside voice, while I try to fight this and everything else around me, basically can be debilitating and exhausting myself to the point that myself and others may be able to agree with me while all this is going on, when I ultimately go into a shutdown phase or even a way of basically expressing our feelings and emotions towards others. When we're doing all of this to ourselves, we then are pressing the reversal of our accommodation needs and all services we may deem require, whatever the reason, due to the internal voice of reason. The question you may be wanting to basically ask yourself, despite it all, can you relate to any of these I've just clearly shared? If so, what are your thoughts on it and what do you wish to share to others about it all? Again, share in the comments section and be, mindful of others. But the very last question you may throw at me is, Aspie, what do you want for yourself and the aims and goals about all this ableism that's going on? One is basically, my hope is for inclusion and acceptance of others' differences, no matter who and what we are and no matter what as our diagnosis. Two is being able to continue my advocacy to myself and others and learn to not tear myself down and admitting that I need help and not doing the opposite, that in turn will ruin or affect my health and well-being. Three is being open, real and honest with you all about myself as a person beyond the diagnosis as well. Four, changing my script and thinking patterns as shared earlier in the piece, including some mantras and some positive thinking and or talking in my day-to-day life. Example here, say something like, when or during or even my meltdown is over, telling myself as a reminder, yes, I'm an autistic, I had a meltdown, this happened to me due to X, why did it happen, how did it happen, etc, etc. This happened due to X and I can't control it. Is it time to let it go? If so, of the yes, let it go and breathe, count to 10, look at the things around me, look at the things I've done around me. I achieved this in so little time. 5, focusing on my strengths, not my weaknesses, but then again, work on the weaknesses again to make a better version of myself. 6, accepting myself and my support and accommodation needs, owning what I can and can't do, and learn to love myself and more. Well, this quickly ends my video for today about I'm Human Too, about basically autism and internalized ableism. Smash the like if you like this, comment below as I said to any of this that you've experienced yourself and more, and what you've learned from it in your day-to-day living and what you would like others to know about. Share these videos around to family and friends, follow me on my social medias. All for the videos, guys. Thanks for support, thanks for watching, do you love it, gentle. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.